Bren, we are back.
We are back.
Today is November 28th. I actually think we recorded. Didn't we record on the 28th of last month?
We might
I
have.
didn't even realize that before I just read the date out loud.
We recorded shortly before Halloween. I know that.
Yeah. I
You have to check now.
I have to check
Like, you
now.
have to check the metadata of the audio file.
Yeah. I remembered to look in the corner this time, which is why the date sounded familiar because I didn't look last time. Um, but anyway, we are back today and we are talking about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which we both saw together, and we didn't tell each other our thoughts on it.
Yes, I
Um,
specifically said we should keep our thoughts separate from one another so that we can discuss them live and record it all.
yes, I completely agreed with that. So we're here. I have seen this movie 3 times already.
How?
Uh, a lot of money. That's how. A lot of money that I don't have.
That's
Uh,
that's fair. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, this is episode 2 of Script Supervisors. So welcome back. I am Jaden, and this is of course Bren.
Hello.
And yeah, so we'll just jump right into the news that I have first, and then we'll get into Black Panther after that. All right, so the first thing I have here is Chris Hemsworth is taking a break from acting.
I heard about that. He's like trying to get his life together and stuff.
Yeah, because he did a documentary for Disney Plus, and he realized that he was at early risk for Alzheimer's.
Right. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it.
so he's trying
Um,
to spend more time with his family now.
I completely understand
Yeah,
that, and I hope no one holds it against him because Alzheimer's is like one of the worst things that you can
yeah,
die of, and it's really horrific. So, choosing to spend time with your family over do your job that you already have, millions of dollars from, it's incredibly understandable.
right, yeah. And I honestly don't think I honestly don't think if Marvel wants him to come back for Thor, I don't think they're gonna make him unless he wants to, because he's been playing this character since what 2007?
Something like
No,
that.
no, that's not right. It's 2009, I think, or
Yeah,
2010 when Thor came out originally.
well, it's 2009 or 2010 because Iron Man came out.
Iron Man was 2008.
Yeah,
There was nothing in
and it
2009.
was teased at the end of 2000 of Iron Man.
I actually think it was 20,
No, wait,
2011 now that I think about it, right?
yeah, because it was teased at the end of Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
I'm silly.
Yeah, but he's been playing this character for years. So I think they have so much respect for him that they won't make him come back unless he wants to.
They better.
Yeah.
He has made Thor. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, he is Thor.
Yeah.
He is this version of Thor. And I mean, Jane Foster was Thor, but now she's dead. So,
Yeah.
uh yeah, that's unfortunate, but oh well. Anyway, another show that I watched a while back was about a group of Nazi hunters in like 1970s New York. It was on Amazon. It was called Hunters.
Huh.
And I've like forgot about that show since I watched it. But that I loved that show when I watched it. And for like a year, I was wondering whether or not they were going to do a second season. And I like got reminded of it the other day, so I looked it up. That we're finally getting a second season in January of next year.
All
So
right.
yeah, it's got Logan Lerman, Al Pacino, and some other actors and actresses.
So it's like a 1970s historical period piece fiction kind of thing.
Yeah. So basically, it's about Operation Paperclip, which brought a whole bunch of Nazi
Ah.
scientists in to work for the government, and there's now a group of Nazi hunters. Logan Lerman plays the daughter, or sorry, son of a Jewish mother who is in this group of Nazi hunters, and Al Pacino is like the leader,
Hmm.
and he was helping the group um find all the Nazis and whatever, and he seemed to have like a really intimate knowledge of everybody, and how they portrayed in the show is that he was in one of these internment camps.
Hmm.
And there's a reveal towards the end, which I won't spoil in case people haven't seen it. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it because it's really interesting. But the reveal at the end was so huge that I couldn't stop thinking about it for like 3 weeks. And I was like, when are we gonna get a resolution to this? And
Might have
now
to
we
watch it
finally are.
then.
Yeah, it's really good. The episodes are like an hour long though, and there are like 12 of them.
Oh.
So it's a really big time commitment, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I already have a lot of trouble dedicating large amounts of time to watching things. I've been
Yeah.
working through The Expanse again
Oh
because
yeah.
it's really good. Um, and that's been taking up like all of my time.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that's coming out in January. When I looked, there wasn't a specific date in January, just January. So that's coming pretty soon. It's like 2 months away. Um, yeah, next we have Angela Kang is the showrunner for Silk.
What's Silk?
Silk is another Spider-Man character that Sony owns.
Oh,
And she's like this teenager. Her name is I think it's Cindy Moon in the comics. I think it was Cindy Moon. But her character was in Spider-Man: Homecoming. But this show is not set in the MCU. This is in Sony's like Morbius,
more.
Venom, Madam Web universe.
Well, except that, Venom showed up in the MCU briefly.
He did, and then
We love him for that.
Yep, he was there, got drunk, and then got was taken out again.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, this show will be on Amazon for some reason. But
All right.
I don't know. Could be interesting, could not be interesting. Sophia the First is getting a spin-off.
Okay, Sophia the First, the
The-
children's
animated show
is
is getting a spin-off with Craig Gerber.
I don't know what that is.
He worked on Sophia the First, but
Okay.
when I heard this, I was just like, I mean, do kids really care that much about Sophia the First that they want a spin-off?
Probably not.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of really any like kids show that has had a spin-off except maybe Mickey Mouse and like the various Mickey Mouse shows that have existed.
I wouldn't call those spin-offs. I would just call those Mickey Mouse
Yeah,
shows.
they're just Mickey Mouse shows. But it's as of now an untitled Sophia the First spin-off, which I guess exists for some reason.
I mean, other animated shows have had spin-offs. Like,
Yeah.
Family Guy. One of the characters, Cleveland Brown, he got a spin-off show and it got like 3 seasons or something.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, like, why Sophia the First?
That's a very good question.
I've never heard anything particularly good about it. Just like that it exists.
Yeah. I like when I heard this I was like Sophia the First, that's that kid's animated show, right? I was right. But I didn't remember anything other than that besides I guess the main character's name is Sophia. She's the first of something. The first of
She's
8 million
like
spin-off
no,
shows.
she's like a princess or something.
Yeah.
I have this memory of this song, and I think it's the theme song, but I don't know if it's correct, so I'm not gonna sing it.
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like a buffoon.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna watch it, but it exists.
I'm not gonna watch it
If
either.
anybody listening has kids, you want to keep them busy, I guess.
I'll tell my sister to get her kid to watch it. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so if you have a little kid, you sit them in front of the TV with this Sophia the First spinoff.
At
I'm
least
not
it's
even
not
sure
Coco
the-
Melon.
Yeah. With the age range that this audience or that this show is trying to reach, I don't know that the kids will even understand that it's a spinoff.
Yeah.
They might just see it as another show. I'm not even sure that Sophia the First is in this show. It's just a spinoff. So she might not even be in the show.
Like,
But yeah, anyway. Next we have James Gunn said a few things about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which we will talk about next month. But he said that he wrote the script in a couple of hours.
your computer's falling asleep.
Is it falling asleep? Oh no. But yeah, he said he wrote the script in like just a few hours.
That's
Which-
impressive.
It is impressive. I mean,
As a writing major, Jesus Christ, man.
yeah, like if all you have to dedicate to this script is a couple of hours, I mean, I love Guardians and I love Guardians 2.
Yeah.
So
They're great movies.
I'm pretty sure that this holiday special is going to be good. And, like, I mean, it's definitely going to be funny. Drax and Mantis seem to be kidnapping Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. And I
This-
mean, James Gunn also directed or wrote or something the Suicide Squad,
Right,
the
yeah,
second
yeah.
one, and that was a huge success. People loved it. So
I know I love that movie, and I didn't really like the first one, which James Gunn did not direct, but he saved the Suicide Squad.
I thought the first one was all right.
It was okay.
Like,
I was kind of disappointed that Slipknot, a character that I was kind of interested in, just
Mhm.
got his head blown off.
yeah, It-
That was unfortunate.
it happens.
It does happen. Spontaneous combustion of the cranium. Just you have to be careful of that spontaneous combustion.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, but James Gunn also responded to a rumor about the holiday special, which was that Silver Surfer was going to be in the post-credit scene.
Oh,
So he said that Silver Surfer will not be in the post-credit scene.
damn.
So do not expect Silver Surfer in the holiday special. At this point, the holiday special has released on Disney Plus. And I have seen it, but I can confirm that Silver Surfer is not in it.
Gotcha.
But also, I think the holiday special would be kind of a weird place to introduce Silver Surfer. But you know, this thing is more of a it's supposed to be like a funny side adventure rather than like a main plot point.
Is it
so
a full movie? How long is it?
It's 44 minutes.
Okay,
So it's
that's feature length.
Yeah, it's like Werewolf by Night, the Halloween special that came out, which I thought was amazing.
Mhm.
That one was directed by Michael Giacchino. But this one I think is amazing, and it's a new subsection of Marvel Studios called Marvel's Special Presentations. So these are going to be all of the holiday specials.
Okay.
So like the TV movies that they're releasing on Disney Plus. So right now that consists of Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. And they also did the Director by Night, which was the documentary about the making of Werewolf by Night.
Huh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be talking about the holiday special next month. But yeah, Drax and Mantis are hilarious, and they make such a great duo. Anyway, I was confused about what the note was at first that I made, but then I realized that what I put down was a movie title. The movie She Said came out, which is about Harvey Weinstein and Hollywood and the sexual assault that happened, and the
I've
New
been
York
getting
Times,
ads for
yeah,
it.
the New York Times investigating Harvey Weinstein and what he did. The movie flopped.
Yeah.
Box office wise, it flopped, which is unfortunate because it seems like a really interesting movie. I haven't seen it yet.
I was really interested. The thing is, it just came out like right around Thanksgiving, and so people are doing Thanksgiving and
Right.
then busy afterwards because you put off a bunch of stuff for Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I mean, it kind of released at a really not so great time because it released right next to Black Panther,
Yeah, that's true.
which I feel like took a lot of money away from that.
It's
which
setting it up
yeah.
to fail.
Yeah, so that movie flopped, which they should have put it in. I know January and February are kind of like dumping months for bad movies,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like if they would have put it there, people would have been more interested. And I'm not sure if this is good or not, by the way. I haven't seen it. But it seems really interesting, and I think they would have made more money if they put it there.
I think their advertising was great. I just think their timing was off.
Oh yeah, I love the trailer. And I, I mean, it's definitely a story that needs to be told. And
Absolutely.
I am probably going to see it at some point. We'll see. But yeah, it did look really interesting, and I really did want to see it. But it's unfortunate that it flopped, but it did. Yeah, the next thing, Indiana Jones 5, the villain was revealed.
They're making another one?
Yeah, surprise, it's Nazis
Why?
again.
It's always Nazis.
It's
Everything
always
is Nazis.
Um, except for the last one, which was Russians. But all of the other movies
Same
have been
thing.
Nazis. Yeah, so Harrison Ford is coming back one last time.
Oh,
John
my
Williams
God.
is coming back one last time to score
He's old
Indiana
now.
Jones. He is old, and he said that this is the last Indiana Jones thing that he will be playing Indiana Jones in.
Okay, I hope so.
Yeah, so the last project he will be starring in as Indiana Jones. I really like all of the Indiana Jones movies, and even the last one, which was not my favorite Indiana Jones movie, I still thought was good, and I think it's underrated.
Hmm.
That one had Shia LaBeouf and Kate Blanchett. That one was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So the official title for this one hasn't been revealed yet. But he will be fighting Nazis again, I guess.
Hooray!
I mean, I guess Indiana Jones and Nazis are maybe like Captain America and Nazis, but also not. I don't know.
I get what you're going for. I don't know if it's there, but I see it.
Yeah, I don't know. It depending on when this movie is set, it might feel weird to have Nazis in there again. Cause like
Yeah, if he's old now, then
yeah, because the earlier ones were set during World War II when
yeah,
Nazis were actually in power, but now the Nazis aren't in power anymore.
maybe it'll be like neo-Nazis or something.
Maybe
I don't know.
we'll see. But I want to see this movie when it comes out because I love Harrison Ford and I love John Williams, and I forgot who's directing this movie. I hope it's Steven Spielberg because he did such an amazing job. But oh well, we'll see. But Harrison Ford returning for one last Indiana Jones movie before he stops. But I thought I heard that they were doing another. They're doing another Indiana Jones based show, which doesn't have Indiana Jones in it.
Just
But
make new shows, make new things. You don't
yeah,
have to put Indiana Jones on something when they're like, going caving and unearthing artifacts and stuff. You can just call it like anything else. It doesn't have to be Indiana Jones. Sorry.
right, yeah.
I'm really pissed about this kind of thing.
No, I like that's a fair complaint to make, and like that reminded me actually of there's a new show coming out in December. It's the new National Treasure show. It's called
Mhm.
National Treasure: The Edge of History. I saw the trailer. The FBI agent from the previous movies is in it,
Okay, fun.
and all the rest is new characters. Um, but I think the National Treasure franchise is one of the most underrated franchises because honestly, those
It's
movies are
so it's so good and it's so dumb
yeah.
and I love it.
Me too. I really hope that they don't ruin it with this show. I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And I mean, Nick Cage isn't in it, obviously. He might cameo at some point, I guess, maybe, but he's not the main star. Uh, so I guess we'll see where this show goes. But it's coming out in December, I think. It's called The Edge of History, and I hope it's as good as the movies. Because the movies are underrated.
True. They're really good.
Yeah. Let's see what's next. Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn are starring in something called Freaky Tales.
Freaky Tales.
It's like kind of a horror movie thing.
I
There's not many details other than that,
mhm.
but Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn is an interesting combination because Pedro Pascal obviously played the Mandalorian. He was in that Nick Cage movie that has a long title that I don't remember. And Ben Mendelsohn played Talos in Captain Marvel, and he will play him again in Secret Invasion.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that'll be interesting to see.
He also played the doctor, Sherlock. Like I mean the doctor friend of Sherlock. I've forgotten his name. This is
You're
incredibly
right.
embarrassing. But in in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock movies, he plays Watson.
Watson.
Frick.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
plays Watson.
Yeah. So like that's an interesting actor combination, I think, that may be good or bad, but I'm inclined to think it will be good. Just based on what I know about both of them. So we'll see. And then oh yeah, James Gunn. I should have put this earlier, but for some reason I put it afterward. James Gunn mapped out an 8 to 10 year plan for DC.
Jesus.
Because he's now the head now, I guess. So he's mapped out an 8 to 10 year plan. They want to make the DC universe like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which there's like shows and movies all in one single universe. But they've tried this before and it hasn't worked.
Yeah, they have.
So I don't know if James Gunn can do it. For our sake and for watching good movies, I hope he can make it work. But I don't know that he can.
DC had, the Justice League and like their movies. And it also had its own like DC show cinematic universe where, you've got like Green Arrow and Flash and Supergirl, I think, and they all like interact with each other occasionally.
Right. Yeah.
But they've also had their budgets like cut out at the knees.
Yeah.
And so that's not doing too good. But like, I'm fascinated to see where they go with this because I want to know what they're building off of. If they're building off of the Justice League, I'm not interested. If they're
Right.
building off of the 2022 Batman movie, I am very much interested.
Oh yeah. I
Because
love that movie.
2022 Batman freaking rocked.
Yeah.
The movie was great.
Yeah. That also has to do with another piece of news that for some reason isn't next to this one. But it is on my list. Henry Cavill is officially back as Superman for some reason.
Wait, was he not back as Superman?
I thought he was done, and now it was announced that he's back
Huh.
as Superman.
They must be paying him quite a lot then.
Yeah, people have made jokes before about when he was done with Superman, he was gonna hop over to the MCU and play Hyperion. It was basically just the Marvel equivalent of Superman. But I don't know. So maybe this new universe is based off of the Justice League universe, which would be weird because Ben Affleck, I think, has publicly stated that he does not want to come back as Batman. Because the new Batman right now is Robert Pattinson,
Yeah.
who played him in The Batman, which was amazing. I love that movie. But we'll see. Maybe this version of Superman is in the Robert Pattinson universe. He's just played by Henry Cavill, who also happened to play him in the other one. But who knows?
It would be interesting. Either way they do it, it'll be interesting. I'm fascinated to see what they do.
Me too. I hope James Gunn can pull it off. And
Especially like an 8 to 10 year plan.
yeah.
Who plans that far out?
Besides Marvel,
Besides Marvel, but like Marvel has the ability to because they already
Right, yeah.
had like
they have
had
this
the movie
established
base.
universe. Yeah. That's a good question, and I think if anyone can do it, James Gunn can. But we'll see. I mean, he managed to bring 5 characters who are virtually unknown to the general public and make a fantastic movie out of them.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
But yeah, so 5 like virtually unknown characters and put them in a movie with like if you say it to someone who doesn't know what the Guardians of the Galaxy are, you have a green woman, a bodybuilder, a talking tree, and a talking raccoon
and
with a human in space.
yeah, and just like a normal guy
Yeah.
in space.
Yeah. He said that was the reason that he didn't put Nova in the Guardians of the Galaxy was because he only wanted to have one human,
Gotcha.
which made sense
yeah.
to me. Which
It puts everyone else on even footing. When you have a human majority in like a spaceship crew, then it makes all the interactions different.
yeah. Back when Infinity War and Endgame were releasing, I was thinking there are 3 characters I really want to see: Moon Knight, Blade, and Nova. Moon Knight and Blade have all had their projects announced. Nova is the only one left without a project, and that kind of annoys me because I really want to see Nova
Hmm.
in live action. But I mean, they've said there are plans for him, but they have failed to specify what those plans actually are and when we will get those plans.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a couple years.
You know, unfortunate because I think Nova is a pretty cool character, but also the Nova Corps is demolished? Question mark.
Yeah, Nova Prime did get like glassed by Thanos.
Yeah,
Well, he might have just killed half of them, or he might
that's
have destroyed literally everyone on the planet. I don't
that's
know.
what I hope he did because that means half of the Nova Corps is still alive.
Yeah,
But we'll see. I don't know. I like Nova,
like
so
oh my, that whole planet is dealt with in a throwaway line in the movie, and it's just never brought up again. And
yep.
I'm a little upset about it because I also really like the Nova Corps. Their dumb little starships are so funny to me.
Yeah, yeah. I really liked the entire Nova Corps, and I was disappointed that we haven't seen them since then. And I really hope that we do in a Nova project or something like that. But yeah, and then two more pieces of news here. Keanu Reeves joins a John Wick spinoff called
A John Wick spinoff?
Ballerina.
Okay.
There's a John Wick spinoff called Ballerina. I don't know what Ballerina is referring to because unfortunately I've never seen John Wick. I want to.
You've never seen
I've
John
never
Wick?
seen John Wick. I know it's bad.
Finally, something that I have seen that you haven't.
I've meant to watch John Wick for such a long time, and my family signed up for Peacock Premium because they had a Black Friday deal, and it was like $12 for a year. So I will watch all 4 chapters of John Wick at some
I think
point.
there's a fourth?
There's a 4th.
Oh shit.
There are 4 chapters of John Wick.
I think I've only seen 1, 2, and 3.
I know his dog dies. That's all I
Yeah.
know. That's all I know is his dog
Yeah, that-
dies and Keanu Reeves is invincible apparently or something like that.
Not invincible, more like unkillable.
Unkillable. Okay.
Because he gets like
Alright.
shot a couple times and stabbed, I think.
Okay.
But he doesn't die because he's Keanu Reeves.
Right, yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Well, that'll be interesting then. Because I'm not sure when this John Wick spinoff is coming out, but it exists and it's called Ballerina apparently. So I don't know. For fans of John Wick, look out for that, I guess. And then the last piece of news I have on here is the Disney CEO change. Bob Chapek, who was the current Disney CEO, was replaced by Bob Iger, who was the previous Disney CEO in 2020. Because in 2020, Bob Iger left. He was
Okay.
replaced by Bob Chapek. And Bob Chapek has now been replaced again by Bob Iger.
Okay, so Bob took Bob's job and then Bob came back and took Bob's job again?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yes. I realized that both of their names were Bob, and then I realized why I didn't realize that sooner. It's because the articles were, the articles were using Bob Chapek and Robert Iger, which is his full name, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense, and that makes it a lot easier, I guess, to
Yeah, to
distinguish
differentiate
between them. Yeah. But Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, has a pretty good working relationship with Bob Iger.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bob Iger was the one who took Kevin Feige out from under Promoter's shadow. Ike Promoter, the racist and sexist guy who was in Marvel Studios for a little bit before he was fired for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I heard about that guy.
But yeah, Bob Iger was the one who took Kevin Feige out from under there and put him under Alan Horn, who was the CEO of Disney at the time. But yeah, Bob Iger is the CEO of Disney again. So,
All right.
yeah, I just hope he doesn't. Because apparently he has a reputation for liking family friendly content. So hopefully he doesn't take the mature content off of Disney Plus. Because
That would suck.
that is most of what I watch on Disney Plus. Deadpool and Daredevil and The Punisher.
Dude, Daredevil's the shit.
It really is, and I'm excited for his show that's coming out. I really liked him in She-Hulk. Charlie Cox is amazing. I want Born Again to be here already. Uh, but yeah. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. That means we can jump straight into Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So how we're gonna do this is we are going to have two sections. There will be time codes in the description. So if you don't want spoilers, look at the time code for when we start talking about spoilers, and make sure you pause it before you get to that point. Because I will also clearly state that we are getting into the spoiler section. We'll do non-spoilers and then spoilers. But if you don't want spoilers and you listen after the spoiler mark,
And you get spoilers,
that is your own fault.
It is entirely your fault.
And there is unfortunately nothing I can do to change that, but it is your fault. So we're gonna start with non-spoilers, and I will clearly say when we get into spoilers, and it is your job to listen to when I say that, so that you don't get spoiled for this movie, because this movie has a lot of spoilers.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can start with.
I'm trying to think of like what
Yeah.
we can talk about without it being a spoiler.
It's hard because a lot of this stuff is spoilers.
Yeah.
I guess we can start off with performances. I thought all of this cast was amazing.
Oh yeah. They fucking rocked it.
Yeah, Letitia Wright, Winston Duke, Angela Bassett, who I think might be my favorite actress in this movie.
Hmm.
Angela Bassett I thought was so amazing. She plays Queen Ramonda. Lake Bell is in this movie too. That has been public knowledge, so it's not a spoiler. But she also voices Natasha Romanoff in What If.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lake Bell is in this movie too. I thought the cast was great. Winston Duke is back as M'Baku. Letitia Wright back as Shuri.
Hmm.
Dominic Thorne as Riri Williams Ironheart, who I thought was really good too. And what's his name? Why can't I remember it? Martin Friedman is
Martin Friedman.
also back as Everett Ross, who is great. And there's
Bilbo.
there's another character in this movie that I won't spoil that he interacts with. But yeah, I thought all of this cast was amazing. Winston Duke I thought was a pretty good standout too. M'Baku.
Mm.
The first joke he made, I just outright laughed. It's when he calls Okoye, who is also amazing, played by Denai Guerrera. He calls her a bald-headed demon, and I just couldn't help laugh at that. Because like they're just like casually insulting each other in like this really official meeting room.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh, also Lupita Nyong'o is also great as Nakia, who is also back. I forgot to mention her. I think that covers all the main cast. Chadwick
much.
Boseman obviously died before this movie was even written, which was sad. And I do think this isn't spoilers.
There's a
by the way.
funeral scene at the beginning. It's
There
very
is.
touching.
Yeah, it's in the trailers, so it's not spoilers.
It is?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Oh,
any
well,
of the trailers.
it's in the trailers, so it's not spoilers that there's a funeral scene at the beginning, and also it should be implied because Chadwick Boseman is not in this movie. But I thought they did a really great job of going around the theme of legacy,
Hmm.
because that's a theme that has been throughout several MCU projects, but here it's even more prevalent because we lost Chadwick Boseman in real life.
Yeah.
And at the premiere and at D23 and Comic-Con, when the cast got up on stage to talk about this movie, they all started crying. And like they said why, because the movie was such a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman, which now after seeing it, I think it really is a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. So this is also not a spoiler because it should be implied. But Chadwick Boseman is dead. How he dies, I will save for. Or sorry, T'Challa is dead.
T'Challa's dead. Yeah.
But I will save how he died for spoilers. But T'Challa is dead. Obviously, Ramonda and Shuri are both in mourning. And one of the things at the beginning that I really liked was the the contrast of the different style of mourning between Ramonda and Shuri.
Mm-hmm.
Because Shuri is obviously more of a scientific mind than her mother is. Her mother is more traditional and spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
while Shuri is more scientific. And I
It's
thought it was
actually
really interesting.
that's something I was going to talk about later in the spoiler section, but I can kind of mention it here. Um, I really like how the tech that Wakanda uses is sort of um, archaic in nature but scientific in function. Like the Dora Milaje have these spears that can shrink down and then turn back into a spear, and they can they're super hard, and they can stun people and also fire bolts of energy, and it's great. I love that they have this hyper advanced civilization that still uses sort of tech that we would consider old and archaic.
Right, and I really agree with that because Wakanda has this interesting way of merging science and tradition.
Yeah.
Because I really like that they use these melee weapons, and it's not just like, I have a big gun, look at me.
Yeah.
They actually have like spears and knives and other things, but they're so cool in their function because, like, yes, it's a spear, but it's also a retractable spear.
Yeah.
It can also electrocute your hand if the wrong person is holding it, and it's just a great way to stay close to their roots as Wakandans
Hmm.
from when Bashenga uh, built Wakanda, and I think it's just a really great way to stay connected, and I really like that too because even with these melee weapons, you get these amazing fight scenes
Oh
that you
yeah.
might not otherwise have if you were using just guns.
Yeah, because melee fight scenes are infinitely more interesting than gunfight scenes. That's why in every action movie, they're always out of ammo, or they
Yeah,
toss their gun to the side as a sign of pride and honor or whatever.
yeah, because if you have firearms, it's just two people hiding behind objects waiting for the other one to come out.
Yeah, and occasionally, looking up and firing off a shot or two, and then sitting back down.
Right. This is why characters like the Punisher don't just use guns.
Yeah,
Like, he's also a very skilled like combatant where he knows all these different martial arts, and he knows how to use knives and bladed weapons and stuff like that because it's not just guns.
yeah.
And this is also true for characters like Hawkeye or Black Widow, where they're not just using guns, they can actually fight with their hands, which is what gives us fight scenes like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have more stuff to talk about?
Yeah, one more thing. I forgot to mention Tenoch Huerta plays Namor in this movie. He's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
he is amazing in this. I can't wait to see what they do with his character.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where yeah, his whole shtick goes. I have no idea how they're gonna integrate that into the wider MCU.
Me too. And like, honestly, Namor in the comics is a character I've been waiting to see for a long time in the MCU, and they couldn't for a while because the Namor rights were tied up with Universal
Mm.
because I guess for some reason he's a Hulk character.
He's a Hulk character?
I don't know, or maybe he was just sold with the Hulk rights. But for a long time, the rights to Namor were tied up with Universal, which is why they couldn't use him earlier. But they can use him now, which I like. Um, and I don't know if he's gonna get his own project or if they're gonna give like a Talocon project, but I guess we'll see. I thought he was amazing in this though.
Yeah, I have no idea how they're gonna use him because it would be difficult to use him as a villain again, but I also don't see how, with his current characterization, he could be the hero of a movie. So
Right,
they're
because
gonna have difficulty with that, and I can't wait to see what happens with him.
yeah, I can't either. But yeah, and two the two kind of lieutenants he has, Atuma and Namora,
Hmm.
are pretty interesting too, I think. But yeah, so I mean, they don't play a huge role in this movie, but they're there. And Atuma is typically an enemy of Namor, so I don't know. Maybe Atuma becomes radical, and
Yeah, maybe he has to like maybe he gets like kicked out of his kingdom and then has to like, work with people up
yeah,
top to then like
right,
get back in and whatever. I don't know,
right.
man.
Because I mean, Atuma has that like hammerhead shark looking helmet that he has in the comics,
Mm.
which I thought was an interesting way to develop it. Because I think in the comics, it's just the head of a hammerhead shark. Like it's not bones or anything. It's
It's
like
just
the actual
wearing a
head.
head.
Yeah, or something that looks like the actual head of the hammerhead shark. But yeah, and I really like the design too of Talokan. Oh, excuse me.
I don't.
But yeah. Oh, really?
No, I was gonna get into this later, but we're talking about Talokan, and I didn't know if that was spoilers or not, so I'll get into it now. Um, I hate the art direction with Talokan. Um, so they're supposed to be like more advanced than Wakanda, right? Their battle armor consists of like jewelry, and it's not like there's no actual armor there, and there's no way it can protect them. And it took me out of like almost every scene because, the Dora Milaje, they wear actual armor.
Yep.
Like there is very obviously metal plating on their shoulders and on their chests, and it's like, yeah, that is armor, and I can believe that it's made of vibranium and has like super powers built into it. But the Talokan guys, they hop out of the water and they're wearing a bunch of beads, and it's supposedly vibranium, but it's not glowing, which we know vibranium
Right.
does. Um, and it's not like actually protecting them from anything unless it like projects a force field around them. I don't see how their tech is anywhere near what Wakanda has.
Yeah, that was something I noticed too. Was that the body armor that the Talokanil, I think, is what their people are called. How they have their armor structured is not nearly enough to have your entire army dressed in that.
Yeah.
But also, I guess for some reason, all of these people are superpowered.
Yeah, they all have superpowers, and
So
they're all super strong.
I guess technically that would negate the need for armor, but they make a point in the movie of showing that the armor is bulletproof. But in my head I was thinking you could just shoot not there
Yeah,
because there's so much of their body is uncovered by the armor. You could just shoot not there.
yeah, and like they're so gimmicky.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're the water people. We have, whales that we ride around on. If they had a whale that was like pulling a ship thing that they were all like sitting in, I would believe it, right? But they're all just holding onto the side of a whale. It's I don't. Oh my god! And don't get me started on their stupid water bombs.
The water
Like,
grenades.
like that's not how water works. You can't condense water. That's like physically not possible. It's a liquid.
That was my question too, was like with because these water grenades are implied to not have the use of any sort of combustion.
Yeah.
So how do they get the water to like
there's no
explode?
explosive
Right.
that like is in it. It's just like really condensed water, which makes some of their uses later on. I'm not going to get into it because
Yeah.
spoilers, but makes some of their uses just not make sense like at all.
Yeah. And I agree because like if I had a water grenade that looked exactly like the one that's in the movie and I threw it at something, it would crack and the water would fall out.
Yeah,
There would be no
it would be like a water balloon at
right,
best.
yeah.
But they are explosives.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes they are explosives, except they don't use fire so they don't
They use
cause
water.
burns. They use water.
And that's not how water freaking works.
Yeah, which I do find strange. And what I also find strange is just how powerful these water grenades are. Because, like, even if they found a
Yeah.
way to, like, explode water, I mean, it's just,
Like,
I
okay,
don't know.
theoretically, like using magnetic fields, you could condense water
Yeah.
into a more dense form. Um, but the volume of water that are coming out of these things is nowhere near like what you could theoretically do. And it took me out of every scene that those bombs were in because they'd blow up and it would be water and I'd be like, why?
Yeah. It's
Why can't
definitely
they
is.
just use normal weapons of some kind?
Yeah. I mean, they do have, like, the spears and the shields, but the they don't use those as often as they use the water grenades or just, like, physically tackling people.
Yeah, and the spears and shields, they don't look like hyper advanced at all, like the
Right.
Wakandans tech does.
Yeah, like the one thing I noticed was, like, the shields, they just look like they're like animal hide.
Yeah, they
Like,
just they I'm pretty sure they just are, you
yeah,
know.
animal hide with maybe bones behind them. But, like, I mean, you see the Wakandan shields, and the Wakandan shields are like vibranium metal.
Yeah, and they have those like cloaks that they can bring up, and
Yeah,
then it
yeah,
creates
the
like
border tribe, like, force field shields.
a
Yeah.
force field wall. They have like okay, Wakandan tech like straddles the line between tradition and progress,
Right. Yeah.
and then Talokan tech is like all tradition with like very little to no evidence of progress
Right.
and like
And
scientific progress.
yeah, and I think one of those main points is because they don't have their version of a Shuri. Because Shuri is the one who's, like,
That's
made all of
true.
this, like, tech and stuff for Wakanda, but Talokan does not have their version of that. So all of these weapons are what should be considered primitive, except they're really powerful for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Uh,
Just leave it
yeah.
at that. It doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, we can start the spoiler section. So if you don't want spoilers, click off right here.
Get out.
I will give you 5 seconds to click off before we start talking about spoilers. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry.
Spoilers.
If you stayed on after this, it's your own fault.
The queen dies.
The queen does die. Ramonda dies, and I guess we can start off talking about that because I really do want to talk about that. Like, I did not expect Ramonda to die in this.
Yeah, me neither.
I thought she was gonna stick around for one more movie and then die like Odin did.
Yeah, I thought if she was gonna die, she was going to be killed like personally by Namor or
Yeah.
however. Um, no, she just drowns. Like
Yeah.
very unceremoniously, she just drowns.
Yeah.
Like she saves the girl, I forgot her name. She's
Ironheart.
yeah,
Riri Williams. Yeah.
saves her and then dies. And that's it. That's the whole that's there's no drama. There's no like how could you? There's just dying to water, which sucks. Especially because it's the stupid water bombs again.
Yeah. That's true. She does die from these water bombs. But I will say though, I quite enjoyed Ramonda's death from, like, a story standpoint. I thought it was a good story standpoint because,
Yeah.
well, I mean, you're right. It didn't have any of the, like Namor wasn't, like, holding her by the neck and, like, stabbed her in the side or something. You're right. It didn't have that, but I honestly don't think it needed it because the emphasis wasn't on the overall emphasis I feel of her death wasn't on the fact that Namor killed her, but the fact that Shuri had just lost the last member of her family.
Yeah.
Or at least in this point of the movie, she thinks it's the last member of her family. She finds out later she has a nephew.
Okay. Okay. I have a thing about the nephew. We'll get
Okay.
to it later, but I have a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, do I have a thing.
But she's the story I feel more centers around the fact that Shuri has just lost her mother
Mm.
and who she thinks is the last member of her family.
Yeah.
So I think that it doesn't need all that drama because when you have all that drama, it puts more of the focus on Namor and the fact that he's the one that killed her, not that Shuri just lost her mother.
It could be a really impersonal killing and like not have that drama and also not be drowning to death. But you're right. I do think that having it be, drowning while he's not even there,
Right.
I think that does really sort of help.
Yeah. And like it just like emphasizes the theme of loss in this movie because the movie starts out with the death of T'Challa because
Mhm.
T'Challa is alive at the beginning of this and you don't see him by the way, so it's not like they recreate him with CGI.
Yeah.
But he's alive at the beginning of this and it starts out with Shuri trying to save him by recreating the heart-shaped herb which Killmonger burned all of in the 2018 movie. And it's just you can see Shuri freaking out and just trying to save her brother and she doesn't want to visit him because they don't say this, but it's really emphasized and implied that she doesn't want to accept the fact her brother is dying because if she goes and she kneels down beside him, she's accepting the fact that she can't do anything.
Mhm.
And that's a point that she brings up later when she's talking to Namor is that she did all that she could. She
Yeah.
tried her hardest and she still couldn't save her brother. Um, and I thought that that opening scene was really powerful. And I also liked because when the trailer first came out, I assumed that Talokan was going to flood Wakanda, and that was how T'Challa was going to die.
Mhm.
But that wasn't the case. He just dies of a mysterious unnamed illness, which I think actually works better because it's not using T'Challa's death as this like major plot point.
Well, it is a major plot
well,
point, but
it
like
is
it's
a
not
major
it's
plot
not
point,
part of the plot, you
right?
know.
Yeah. It's more about remembering T'Challa and remembering Chadwick Boseman, and I like that they don't make him die in a fight because it's a lot more relatable. Someone dying from disease.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listening probably have had family members die of disease, which makes it feel a lot more personal to us because we know that the likelihood of us getting stabbed by an alien is not very high.
Yeah.
So when you make it something like an illness, it makes it feel more personal and relatable. From like a character standpoint, and you can really relate to how Shuri and how Ramonda are feeling in that instance.
Mhm.
And I think that's what makes the opening scene so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also really enjoyed because the Marvel intro for this is like the one they made for Black Panther when Chadwick Boseman passed away. It's all T'Challa in
Mhm.
the opening Marvel intro, and there's no music. It's just complete silence, which is I think Marvel's own way of saying let's have a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman who died during this movie.
Yeah.
Um,
It takes like, you know, this thing that's typically, it's very bombastic and we've got this big music swell and Marvel logo. It takes that and it's just quiet, you know,
yeah,
just honoring this guy that did good stuff and then died.
right, yeah. And then there was an interview with the director when he went on a podcast, and he said that he realized when he was doing stuff with Chadwick that he now realizes that he was fighting colon cancer because that's how he died. It was a battle with colon cancer.
Mm-hmm.
The director realized now looking back on it that he would always be really tired after he did stuff and he would need more time to recover than other people would, which he didn't pay much attention to at the time because he didn't know about it. And it should be noted that Chadwick didn't tell anybody about this except his family. His family was the only people who knew that he had colon cancer. He didn't tell um, Ryan Coogler or Kevin Feige or Michael B. Jordan, who was, I think, Chadwick Boseman's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't tell anybody that he had colon cancer, and no one found out until after he died. Kevin Feige didn't even find out until after Chadwick Boseman had died. But I think this film does a really great job of having us remember Chadwick.
Yeah.
And they also have a little like remembrance scene at the end where Shuri flashes back to all of her moments with her brother,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was a really nice touch. And it's revealed at the end that T'Challa and Nakia have had a child at some point, whose Haitian name is Toussaint, which was a black general in the Haitian army during the Haitian Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out that his Wakandan name is T'Challa the Second. Or well, they just call him T'Challa.
They just
but,
okay, yeah. Can I talk about nephew
Go
now?
ahead.
Okay,
Talk
they
about
just
Shuri's
they
nephew.
just call him T'Challa, and I hate that. I would have seriously preferred if they called him T'Challa the Second. Um, that's just personal thing. And then there's a scene where Shuri is taken, and then Queen Lady, I forgot her name again.
Ramonda.
Ramonda is talking to man, I'm forgetting every name. Head Dora Milaje lady.
Oh, Okoye.
Okoye.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Ramonda's talking to Okoye, and Ramonda is, you know, uh, being kind of dramatic, but like with warranted drama because she's talking about how all of her family is either dead or missing. And she's like, how could you know what I'm going through right now? My entire family is like dead and gone. Um, except at that point, she knew.
Right.
Because it's revealed at the end when the nephew's revealed that Ramonda knew the whole time,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So she is either she is like forgetting that he exists, or she's sort of playing up her own um like feelings about Shuri being gone as well,
Right.
and sort of kind of lying through omission.
Sort of, I would agree with that, but I think that she doesn't forget that he's alive. I think she just realizes that she won't be able to see him a lot because
Mhm.
he's still a young child and he's growing up halfway across the world with
Yeah.
Nakia in Haiti. And like she can go visit him, but she's the queen. She says this. She's the queen of the most powerful nation in the world. She might not really have time for that. And it's not like uh, Toussaint or T'Challa the Second is growing up in Wakanda.
Yeah.
He's growing up halfway across the world, and she can't go visit him.
I just think it would have been better if instead of her saying, my whole family's gone, if she just like listed through everyone who died
Yeah.
and all, being all of her known family members at that time, and then letting the audience sort of pick up on that themselves.
Yeah.
I would have preferred that. I think it's fine what we got, but I'm a persnickety little bitch, and
The other thing I'm not quite sure about this because I don't remember the exact quote of what Nakia told Shuri, but she also might not have known about Toussaint slash T'Challa yet when she made that comment because when she went to Haiti the first time,
mm,
she didn't seem like she knew about him either. So I'm wondering if when she went to Haiti after she talked to Nakia,
okay.
Nakia told her that she had a grandson,
Or
and that's when she met him.
when Nakia was in Wakanda, maybe.
Maybe, but we know that Toussaint never went to Wakanda.
Yeah, but
So
like
yeah,
Nakia could have told her.
right, but she says that Ramonda has met him.
Right.
So I'm assuming that's when she found out that she had a grandson is when she went to Haiti the first time. It could be totally contradicted by what they said in the movie because I don't remember the exact quote. But that would make a lot of sense if that's the timeline of how it played out because I think the order of events is Shuri goes missing. Ramonda shouts at the elders and at Okoye.
Hmm.
Ramonda goes to Haiti, finds out she has a grandchild. Ramonda goes back to Wakanda. Ramonda dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would make a lot of sense. It would also explain why she doesn't bring him up earlier
Hmm.
and why she doesn't bring him up immediately when she goes to visit Nakia. But yeah, so I think it would make a lot of sense if she found out when she went to Haiti the first time. But yeah, because like T'Challa knew obviously that he had a son,
Yeah.
and he didn't want him to grow up with the pressures of the throne, so he might not have told his mother immediately.
That's
And
fair.
with his quick death, he might not have remembered to tell his mother that she had a grandchild.
Hmm. Speaking of
And
the death, I have a thing about that.
okay, all right,
Is it okay if we?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. Um. So, uh, Black Panther 1, there is a lot of this heart-shaped herb thing. Um, uh, T'Challa gets one, and then loses it to have his fight with Killmonger. Killmonger supposedly wins. He gets his one, and then has the rest burned. But one is saved, right?
Right.
And then later T'Challa is found again, and he is given it to like revitalize him and make him not die.
Yeah.
So they're out of them, right?
Yeah.
And there is a significant time jump from the end of Black Panther to the beginning of Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Right.
Why did they not try and make the herb again in that time?
Well, I mean, I think the science of this herb is that it works until it's taken away. So I think that's how T'Challa was able to have it throughout the rest of Black Panther and throughout Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Is that the herb stayed with him, and there wasn't really a necessity to create it because no one was challenging for the throne.
Yeah.
And we know that Shuri was reluctant to create it at all
She
because
was?
well, she says in the movie, we don't need. She says something along the lines of, "We don't need herbs. What we need is new technology." Or
Mm,
I think maybe what she said is, "We don't need a Black Panther. What we need is new technology." So
yeah.
her main goal isn't to try and recreate the herb until her brother is dying and she's forced to try and recreate the herb.
I get that.
Yeah.
I just like, why weren't there other scientists in Wakanda working on this? Like, there are other scientists other than Shuri that could have been working on this,
This is true.
but it's assumed at the beginning of the book, the book, the movie, that
Yeah.
like no progress has been made whatsoever until just now,
Right.
and I feel like that rubbed me the wrong way. Like
Yeah.
they could have thrown in a line about how like, oh yeah, Doctor so and so's work has been really helpful. They've been working on this since Killmonger did his shit. But whatever. I'm a persnickety bitch. There's
Yeah,
a bunch of
I
little
mean-
things that bother me, and I get really angry about them.
Yeah. When going off of the heart shaped herb thing, it reminds me of because they don't name this plant in the movie.
Mhm.
It's the blue herb that Talokan has
Yeah.
that turned everybody blue at first. That helps them recreate the heart shaped herb. So they're both vibranium infused plants,
Yeah.
but they're different for some reason, and it's not necessarily explained why.
Well,
But they're sort of different. One's, I guess, aquatic, and
They're
the other
on-
one is land
they're on
based.
different continents.
That's true, actually.
They're-
You're completely right. It's different vegetation.
Yeah, it's different vegetation that got exposed to vibranium.
Yeah.
I do find it kind of funny how they took DNA from a completely different plant and used that to help make the heart-shaped herb
Yeah.
thing. Another thing I don't like about the heart-shaped herb is its stupid name. Heart-shaped herb. There is no name for it other than the shape it has.
Yeah.
Like, you can give it like a Latin name that means heart-shaped herb, it can have the heart-shaped herb name and also have like an actually serious name.
Right.
You know, the Gnui berry or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm making up words here.
Because like the Wakandans are typically good at naming everything. Like the
Yeah.
Black Panther is in. I suppose that's just because it looks like a Black Panther. But I mean, their ship is called the Royal Talon Fighter.
Hmm.
That's such a cool name, and the giant ship they have at the end is called the Sea Leopard,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing too.
Don't get me started on the ship. I hate the ship. It's such a bad design for a nautical vessel.
It okay, like the ship to me looks like this giant block of vibranium
Yeah.
that doesn't have any purpose whatsoever other than to be a platform.
Yeah. Other than to have the moment where they jump off and then fight on the side of it, it has no other purpose.
Yeah, other than to just be a giant platform where people can stand.
It's so
And
dumb.
I didn't really necessarily like the design of it. The name is cool.
Yeah, name's great, but it's done in by water balls.
Right.
It's like they release a bunch of the water balls underneath it, and then it blows up, and we're losing power. What does that mean? Like, oh my god. Okay, so it's a pressure explosion, right?
Right.
So it's basically vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Vibranium
Is vibration absorbent.
is vibration absorbent.
Yep.
What I'm saying is, if they built their boat with any sense, it would have had like actual good armor down there, and it just
Right.
didn't.
And it's the ship doesn't have weapons either.
Yeah,
It has one
the-
sonic thing at the bottom that goes out, and that's it.
The ship is completely unarmed,
Yeah.
and oh my god, there's nothing on top except like a flat
Yeah,
thing.
it's just a platform.
And there's no shots inside because they didn't want to build the sets.
Right.
And the whole thing annoys me so much. I kind of hate it.
It's basically the Wakandan equivalent of the helicarrier, except the helicarrier looks a lot cooler because the sea
Because
leopard
you
can
see
fit.
inside it.
Yeah, the sea leopard can fit these like dragonfly looking ships inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's basically just a transport. Is
Yeah,
what it is.
It
But
has an internal hangar.
it doesn't even look like a cool transport. It's just kind of a block.
It's just a block with a hangar and nothing else.
Yeah.
They could have made it so cool. They could have like modeled it after like boats from Africa,
Right.
like they do with a lot of other things that they take like inspiration from in order to design these like sci-fi ships and stuff. They could have done that with it and made it an actually like cool thing, but it's nothing, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, and the other thing with that is like I literally forgot what I was gonna say. It was something about the sea leopard and the giant vibranium block that it seems to be, but I don't remember what that was. Damn it! I'm sure I'll remember it later. Anyway, but yeah, and like, oh, I remember what it was. It was about the end fight scene.
Uh-huh.
Given an extra half hour, Talokan could have definitely won that fight. There were only like 10 Wakandans left at the end.
Yeah,
Com-
easily.
Like, you could see that at the beginning, the entire ship was full of Wakandans.
And then at the end, there's like the 6 or 7 main characters.
Right. And they're all like huddled in a small group.
I know.
And like, they realize it too, because the Aneka, one of the Dora Milaje, who becomes a Midnight Angel in this, which she does in the comics, she goes, someone makes a comment about how they're all gonna die, and she goes, "Let's take as many of them with us as we can." And I was like, that doesn't change the fact that you're gonna die in about 10 seconds if Shuri and Namor don't show up.
Like,
But yeah, Talokan is for some reason insanely powerful.
yeah, Talokan is for some reason insanely powerful, and Wakanda is also supposed to be insanely powerful, but they're not. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Their navy is a ship with It's a block of vibranium that can move.
Well, I do think that Wakanda has the most advanced military in the world, bar Talokan.
yeah,
Talokan, I think, is the one nation that could beat Wakanda, which they almost did if
easily.
Shuri hadn't realized what she was doing.
Yeah,
Was
Talokan would have bodied Wakanda any day of the week.
Yep.
And Wakanda, in a 1-to-1 fight between a U.S. soldier and a Wakandan soldier, the Wakandan soldier will win every time.
Right.
The thing is, the U.S. Army is millions strong,
Right.
and the Wakandan army is like 30 guys.
Yeah. I mean,
Like-
they have the King's Guard, they have the Dora Milaje, and then they have the Border Tribe.
Yeah, they have the... What are they called? M'Baku's guys.
Oh, the Jabari.
The Jabari.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got the Jabari. Oh my god. Okay, speaking of M'Baku and bad weapons, why is his thing made of wood? Why is his club made of wood? I would understand if it was like wood with like reinforcements
Right.
of like vibranium through it, or if it had like a vibranium handle.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of wood.
Yeah, it is just a piece of wood.
And it gets broken twice.
Twice?
Twice.
I remember it once when he hit Namor and it just
Yeah,
cracked.
he hit Namor and it cracked, and then Namor hit him and it like completely broke. And then
Oh,
he had a new
yeah.
one on the ship, and I'm pretty sure that one broke too.
I didn't think that one broke. I think he just lost it.
Oh,
'Cause-
I might have missed that.
Because I think he was fighting and then someone kicked him and he dropped it while he flew back.
Gotcha.
So I don't think it actually broke. I think he just dropped it.
Okay. Point is, he's supposed to be one of Wakanda's strongest
Right, yeah.
fighters, and he fights with a stick. It's a stick. Like, Wakanda is supposed to be this like global superpower all of a sudden, and the U.S. is afraid of them, and the French and the English, and everyone's afraid of them, except like they have one boat, and they have like 12 ships. I mean, 12 like airships, right?
I mean, presumably they have a lot more than just 12 airships.
Presumably they have more.
Yeah.
We never see it,
I mean,
and
we kind of see it in... Because they use the ships in not Infinity War, in Endgame,
yeah.
in the end fight scene.
Mhm.
But yeah, presumably they have a lot more military. They just don't show it. But yeah, I think you're right that their navy is just completely non-existent.
But yeah, like when it comes to defending their country during Infinity War and Endgame, like 30 guys show up, and those are
Right.
the border tribe guys or
Border
whatever.
tribe guys, yeah.
And you've got the Dora Milaje, which is like
Yep.
24 people, and there's just not enough. And I don't understand why the other world powers don't just like muscle in on their territory.
Because
Like-
they can't. Because
Why not?
well, Wakanda has a protective barrier. So
Okay.
they have the military capacity to defend themselves, but not to attack any other country. And I think it relates really well to what Odin said to Thor. A wise king must never seek out war, but he must always be ready for it. So the Wakandans are never looking to fight anybody else.
Yeah.
They're the only reason that they even have a military in the first place is to defend what they already have. And I think that is what Wakanda is at its core, is just protecting what they already have. They don't want to beat another country and claim their land.
Mhm.
They just want to protect what they have, which is why their military is so... I mean, their military is deadly, but it's also few.
Yeah.
Because they don't
tiny.
need a giant military. Because they know that they can withstand an attack if they get attacked. And they're never fighting in any other war.
Mhm.
Because they haven't been involved in any war. And I'm sure if a war started, they wouldn't be involved in that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do get attacked.
Yeah.
And Talokan wipes the floor with them.
Yep.
Speaking of that attack, pretty sure that's a war crime.
Which one?
Bombing civilians.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely.
That's
but
100% a war crime. And
the rest of the world doesn't know about Talokan, though.
yeah, but okay, Talokan is supposed to be like understandable. We're supposed to
Right.
be able to see where they're coming from. I draw the line at war crimes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like,
Like you can be a dick, you can kill your enemy's leaders, you can kill your enemy's military, but war crimes, bombing civilians and hypnotizing like relief workers into jumping into the water and drowning.
Yeah.
Only one of those relief worker guys lived. The rest walked off and died.
Yeah.
And that's horrific. And the movie never addresses it.
Right.
And I hate that.
They presumably during the flood, a whole bunch of Wakandans die.
Yeah.
And that's just like, it makes you really hate Talokan and more specifically because he's the one who issues this attack.
Yep.
And like you kind of get a little taste of it at the beginning when they wipe out all the Navy SEALs. Cause
Yeah.
like I mean, yes, the US shouldn't be searching for vibranium near Talokan territory, but for
The US had no idea Talokan was there.
right, exactly.
As far as they knew, that was unsanctioned waters.
right, and what Namor did was not go talk to the US. He just murdered everybody.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's his solution to everything
'Cause
is
he-
just murder everybody.
He wants to stay a secret, but he needs to realize that he can't.
Right.
In the modern age, he will not be able to stay a secret.
He
So he
will be
might as
discovered
well
eventually.
stop committing war crimes and killing people for no
Right.
reason. You know?
Like he didn't even try diplomacy. He just skipped
Yeah.
right to murdering everybody.
just skipped directly to murder.
yeah.
And he tried diplomacy with Wakanda,
Sort of.
kinda.
He kidnapped them first.
Yeah, he kidnapped them before they could turn her over.
Right.
If they even were planning on turning her over.
Yeah. And
With the kidnapping.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I'm really bugged about. Nikita like infiltrates Talokan
Right.
and then like finds Shuri and
Yep.
Williams. Riri Williams.
Yeah.
Okay. I got the second half of the name.
Yep.
And then she shoots someone.
Right.
With a gun.
Right.
This is the first time we have ever seen a Wakandan use a gun that isn't some kind of stun.
I don't think so because they used the Border Tribe used guns when the Outriders attacked Wakanda in Infinity War. And
They did?
Yeah. Cuz what happens in Infinity War is Natasha Romanoff and Steve Rogers have that conversation with Proxima Midnight, and then she goes, "We have blood to spare."
Mhm.
And then they like send the Outriders, and once they start getting into Wakanda, T'Challa has the Border Tribe put up their shields, and then once they get close enough, he says something. I think he says "to war," and then the Border Tribe starts firing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, so they definitely have guns. It's just they
So-
don't use them as often as they use other weapons.
Yeah, they have guns, but they also have a plethora of non-lethal options. They've got sonic weapons. They've got stun guns. They've got,
Yeah.
any kind of non-lethal that she could have gone in with. But she had a normal gun that shot someone. And then Talokan just doesn't have the medical facilities to
Right.
deal with a gunshot wound.
I don't think that it was a projectile because she
Yeah,
says,
it's not like a standard gun. I'm saying
Yeah.
gun because that's
right.
basically what it is. It's the thing that
Yeah.
you brace against your shoulder that you shoot someone with.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that the gun she's using I don't think is lethal normally because she says something about it being at a certain distance away from the target that it made it lethal because she was close enough to the Talokanil that she shot her and the shot was lethal.
Yeah.
So I think from a farther distance away it isn't lethal, but because she was so close, it was lethal. that's because Shuri tries to save her,
Mm-hmm.
and Nakia says something like, "It's lethal from this distance." So I don't
It
think it's
doesn't have a
lethal
power
normally.
slider? Come
It
on,
might not.
man.
These I don't think have a stun mode like the stormtroopers' weapons.
It's hyper advanced tech. How does it not have a stun mode?
I guess
They
they
had
never
this
really thought
figured
about
out in
it.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Uh, yeah. I like to completely switch topics, sort of.
I'm
I
down.
wanted to talk about the parallels between Shuri and Ndjaka Killmonger
Mm-hmm.
because Michael B. Jordan is back in this movie.
Yes.
Which
It's sort of a cameo, really.
yeah, it's a cameo.
He's there for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, he was actually. Angela Bassett said he was in this movie a long time ago, but
Mhm.
nobody thought about how he could be in this movie because she was like, yeah, it was really fun filming scenes with Lupita Nyong'o and Michael B. Jordan. Everybody's like, what do you mean Michael B. Jordan? How is he back?
What do you mean by that?
So she said that a while back, and he is in this movie. He is in the ancestral plane, and he's who Shuri sees when she takes the heart-shaped herb. And I think it's really significant that she sees him. I mean, obviously, like out of universe reasons, she wasn't gonna see her brother because they weren't gonna recreate him with CGI.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna do that. But it's significant that because who she tries to see is her mother,
Mhm.
and she doesn't see her mother. She sees Killmonger, and I think that's really significant because she says during the ritual with her mother at the beginning of the movie, something like, "If I think about my brother for too long, it won't be these robes that I burn, it'll be the world and
Yeah.
everyone in it." Which immediately I was like, that's sort of what Killmonger said. And then when Killmonger showed up, I was like, all the parallels made sense of why Shuri was being paralleled so closely to Killmonger.
Yeah.
Because they're both after their targets because of vengeance. Uh, Killmonger wants vengeance because T'Challa and his father killed his dad,
Mm.
and
Shuri wants vengeance because her
Namor
mom.
killed her mother, and like Shuri tries to play it off like she's nothing like Killmonger, but she is,
Yeah,
and
she's a lot like him.
she doesn't realize that until she's about to kill Namor, and then she has like a vision of her mother in the ancestral plane, and her mother tells her to show him who you are, and that I really like the parallels between Shuri and Killmonger, and I thought it was a really good point in the story
Me too.
and a really good element that they use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, like, character-wise, Shuri definitely could have ended up, like, working alongside, um, Talokan.
Yep.
Like, because of her sort of anger and, um, distraughtness. I can't think of a good word.
Right.
Yeah. But that moment where, show him who you are, it's sort of deciding how you want the world to see you, how, like, what you want your legacy to be.
Right. Yeah. And legacy is like the main theme of this movie, and it was also a big point in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is another connection to which I'll talk about later. But the theme of legacy is so heavy in this, and it works really well. And I think it works so well because of how they deal with loss and how they deal with Shuri and portraying her loss and her path to becoming like Killmonger. Because she does become like Killmonger until the end when she realizes that she wants to be more like her brother. Because that's a comparison that even Killmonger makes: is you're becoming like me.
Yeah.
Do you want to be like your brother, or do you want to be like me? And she knows that she wants vengeance, and she's so mad because, I mean, she tells M'Baku that she just buried the last person who truly knew her,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's going through that. I mean, M'Baku says like, with all that you've been through, I don't know how anyone could consider you a child. That's like throwing back to what M'Baku said in the first Black Panther movie. He said, "You have this child building your technology who scoffs at tradition," and it's just Shuri is put through hell in this movie,
Yeah.
and it works really well. And I'm so glad that they did it this way because it feels really powerful. There were several times in the movie where I ended up crying because like it was just that emotional. I mean the Chadwick Boseman stuff, Ramonda's death. Um, there's the scene at the end where Shuri is finally burning her funeral robes.
Hmm.
It's just really emotional. And also along that lines, I think the soundtrack was amazing too. Ludwig Göransson is back composing this music. You hear his ancestral plane theme when T'Challa is doing his funeral, and Rihanna does a couple of songs in here too. She does the end credits, and she does another song in here that I forgot the title of. But the one in the end is called "Lift Me Up." But I thought she was a really good choice to do this music, and I thought that Ludwig Göransson did an amazing job of scoring this. Because I think he
Absolutely.
won an Oscar.
The music
for
was amazing.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for his Black Panther score.
Good.
But yeah, so turning away from the Wakanda Talokan based stuff, there's one more section of this movie that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the political U.S. world relations side,
Yeah.
which has
Everett
some interesting
Ross.
stuff. Everett Ross, the mystery character that has been alluded to, is Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who we find out in this movie is the current director of the CIA.
Yeah.
So,
And also his ex.
and also his ex-wife, which I thought was kind of a funny thing to throw in there.
Yeah.
Because, like, I did not expect that at all, but she...
Me either.
Yeah. She just goes, I want to apologize for some stuff I said during my marriage, or our marriage. I'm like, wait a minute. You guys were married?
Yeah, there was like a weird tension, and I was like, where is this coming from? And then she hit us with that, and I was like, oh, okay.
Right, yeah.
That makes sense. That's why he has this like scared dog response every time she's on screen.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought Julia Louis Dreyfus was amazing as Val.
Hmm.
She was in a couple of episodes of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Which is the connection I was talking about earlier, and she was in the post-credit scene of Black Widow.
Yep.
She's the one who recruited John Walker and Yelena Belova.
She's putting together Thunderbolts, right?
Yep. She is putting together the Thunderbolts team, who will consist of Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Red Guardian
Awesome.
and Yelena Belova from Black Widow.
Freaking love Ghost.
Yep. And then Bucky and John Walker from...
Wait,
from
Bucky and
the
John Walker?
Yep. Bucky and John Walker from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I'm curious to see how that works.
I mean, they were.
'Cause I thought those two
sort
hated
of-
each other.
They were sort of friends at the end, kind of.
A little bit,
Um,
not really.
Yeah, sort of. They were talking with each other. There was a Lincoln quote that they said.
Why are there people outside?
That's a very good question.
What the hell?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe they're taking a tour.
Well-
But yeah, so
We're a good example on the tour of students recording something, I guess.
the political hierarchy in the MCU has just changed from finding out that Val is the current director of the CIA. Because when she met John Walker in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they didn't seem to know, John Walker didn't seem to know who Val was.
Mm-hmm.
And the director of the CIA is a position that is public knowledge.
Yeah, it's public knowledge.
So, I don't. It's presumed that she became the director after she went to John Walker.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm assuming is that Thaddeus Ross, the guy who was played by William Hurt.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he tasked Val with
Putting together
putting together the Thunderbolts, and it should be noted that William Hurt, who plays Thaddeus Ross, died while Black Panther was being filmed, which is why he's not the Secretary of State in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Secretary of State is... Oh, I remember his name. He was played by Richard Schiff. He was the guy at the beginning in the United Nations room.
Mm-hmm.
Who was... It was like him, the chair, and the representative from France.
Yeah.
But he was credited as the U.S. Secretary of State, which was a position previously held by Thaddeus Ross.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, Thaddeus Ross isn't the Secretary of State anymore.
Well, he died.
Well, yes, that is true. William Hurt died, but Thaddeus Ross is being recasted.
Oh.
From William Hurt to Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford?
Yeah, we talked about this last month. Harrison,
we did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm silly.
Harrison Ford joined Captain America New World Order and Thunderbolts as Thaddeus Ross.
Gotcha.
So Harrison Ford will be playing Thaddeus Ross. So technically he is still alive in this universe. He's just not the Secretary of State anymore. But I think it's really interesting how this will turn out, especially since this sets up Secret Invasion nicely because Everett Ross is in Secret Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the trailer. He's like wearing a beanie. I was wondering why he was running around Secret Invasion because the CIA isn't supposed to do any operations within the U.S. So this now makes more sense because he's a fugitive.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense that...
Wait, fugitive? Why is he a fugitive?
Because he got arrested at the end of the movie.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah, Everett Ross.
Everett Ross.
Yeah, Everett Ross and Thaddeus Ross have the same last name, but they're not related.
You said Secretary Ross, I think.
Oh, did I say Secretary
Yeah.
Ross? Oh, I meant Everett
or
Ross.
I misheard you. I was really
Yeah.
confused. I was like, Beanie? What do you mean?
No,
Yeah,
Everett Ross,
fugitive.
the guy who's
Okay.
played by Martin Friedman.
Yeah, he gets
Yeah.
freed at the end there.
Yeah, and I thought that joke was really funny. That was one of my favorite jokes in the movie when Okoye busts open the van door and she goes, "A colonizer in chains? Now I have seen everything." I laughed at that one. That one was really funny to me.
I like how she's in the new advanced midnight whatever.
Oh, the Midnight Angel armor?
Yeah, the Midnight Angel armor, and then he very clearly is just like so done with everything, and he's like, "Oh, what now?"
Yeah.
And then her helmet pops open and colonizer joke. I love the colonizer jokes. I think they're made in really good faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I find them quite funny. But it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with Everett Ross in Secret Invasion with Nick Fury and Talos and the Skrulls. Emilia Clarke is in that movie. She plays Abigail Brand,
Mm-hmm.
who in the comics is the leader of SWORD, but in here she just looks like someone. She's not the leader of SWORD, but she is someone. So seeing that will be interesting, and seeing how the Thunderbolts play out will also be interesting.
It'll
and-
either be great or it'll be terrible.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
One other thing I wanted to mention was there are a couple of scenes in here with Anderson Cooper, who is a CNN news host.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a cameo in here twice. He plays himself. I thought it was really cool because at the bottom you can read the little news ticker. The first time Anderson Cooper comes up, it talks about Scott Lang's new book, Look Out for the Little Guy.
Ha ha ha.
So apparently that was in the trailer when they showed it at D23. Was Scott Lang has a new book called Look Out for the Little Guy.
All right.
So Scott Lang's an author. That was mentioned, which I thought was funny.
It'll show up in Quantumania. I'm confident.
Yeah, it will. And
Speaking of Quantumania, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes.
That looked really interesting in the trailer.
Oh yeah, and the music set to Elton John's Yellow Brick Road.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good. But yeah, so the other news ticker was about President Ritson, who is not mentioned out loud by name in this movie, but is on a news ticker. So President Ritson is the new president of the United States, played by Dermot Mulroney.
Mm-hmm.
He will be in Secret Invasion. So there
Gotcha.
has been a newspaper released with him on it. He meets James Rhodes, so Don Cheadle's character, War Machine.
I'm glad War Machine's coming back. I fucking love him.
Me too. But yeah, so President Ritson is the United States president, which the question of who is the president in the United States has been going on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I understand it, it was Barack Obama, Matthew Ellis, who is a MCU specific character.
Okay.
It was Barack Obama, Matthew Ellis.
Which one was in Iron Man 3?
Matthew Ellis.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, was the president in Iron Man 3.
Poor fucker.
Barack Obama, Matthew Ellis, Donald Trump.
God damn it.
Wait.
Ritson.
Donald Trump exists?
That's a lot more presidents between Obama and Trump than in real life.
Well, the current year in the MCU is 2025.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama was started in what, 2008? Because
yeah.
Barack Obama went from 2008 to 2012, which would make...
No, 2016.
Was it 2016?
Yeah, because he won his 2012 election.
Oh, I think in the MCU he would have lost because
Gotcha.
But Ellis was the president in 2013 when he was kidnapped by Aldrich Killian.
Okay.
So I think that he lost the election to Ellis. Ellis took over for 8 years up to 2020. And then in 2020, Donald Trump won like he did Donald Trump won in 2020, which he did not do in real life.
Yeah. I was going to call you on that.
Yeah.
I was going to be like...
He did not do that in real life, but I think he won in... No, actually, wait.
I'm so confused.
So I think Ellis
It doesn't
only...
matter. The president continuity does not matter in the MCU.
This is something I've been thinking about for a long time.
Okay,
because,
I'll let you finish then.
So Ellis, I think, I think was president for only 4 years.
Okay.
From 2012 to 2016.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, Donald Trump won.
Okay.
And he either was president for 4 years or 8 years until he lost the election to President Ritson.
Gotcha.
Because Donald Trump is not alluded to in any movie, but he is mentioned in Luke Cage and The Runaways. The election between him and Hillary is alluded to. So that would have made it the election he actually won in 2016. So he either was president until 2020 or until 2024, when President Ritson became president. So Ritson is either a fairly new president or he is in his second term.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that's the timeline of the MCU presidents.
I vote second term because Trump shouldn't get more than 4 years. Trump should get 0 years.
Agreed. Yeah. But President Ritson is the new president in Secret Invasion. So
it's a massive tangent.
Yep. In a story of shape-shifting aliens. Because Secret Invasion is the first Disney Plus show to be labeled as a crossover event.
Between what?
Between things, I guess.
Okay.
But it has Ben Mendelsohn as Telos, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Martin Friedman as Everett Ross is in this, Amelia Clark as Abigail Brand, Sonya Fallsworth is in this. I forgot what her actress name is. But Sonya Fallsworth is the granddaughter of a Howland Commando that fought with Captain America.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you remember, but in Captain America, there was this guy with like a beret. He was French.
Yes.
His name was James Montgomery Fallsworth. Okay. Sonya Fallsworth is his granddaughter, I'm pretty sure. Or his grandniece or something. It also has Dermot Mulroney as President Ritson. And Don Cheadle as James Rhodes.
Don Cheadle.
Yep, Don Cheadle's back, and
legend.
He will also get his own now a movie called Armor Wars because before it was a Disney Plus show.
Oh my god!
But they changed it to a movie. So currently, I think that the cast of that movie is Don Cheadle as War Machine, and then Walton Walton Goggins, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Do you think Riri Williams will be in it?
Probably. If I had to guess, yes.
An iron-ish suit.
I had to guess, yes. She would be in this. So Walton Goggins played Sonny Birch in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He was like that.
Sonny Birch. What?
He was the guy who was selling Hank Pym the technology. He was the guy with the money and the white sedan with the gold trim. It's okay if you don't remember, and most people don't.
Oh, he was the guy that ran the restaurant
Yeah.
that Ghost took the thing in.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was him. So he's back. I wouldn't also mind seeing Sam Rockwell back as Justin Hammer.
I would love
that.
I would love Sam Rockwell back as
Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer.
Justin Hammer is such a legendary character. I love him. He's such a prick.
Right. And currently he's in Seagate Prison. And he was in the All Hail the King short that was made for I think the Winter Soldier. It was a little short that starred Trevor Slattery, or Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery after he went to Seagate Prison. So Justin Hammer is in Seagate Prison. He's also gay, apparently, because
what?
He has a boyfriend in.
He's supposed to be like. I mean, I guess that makes sense because a lot of Republicans are actually gay behind all of their grandstanding of it being homophobic. A lot of them are actually gay. It's great.
Yeah, but so he has a boyfriend. I wouldn't be surprised if they got him back for this. I really want him back for this because he's such an amazing character.
I want him to reference the ex-wife and for Rhodey to just look at him and be like, no.
Yep. So he's a possibility for this. I would really like to see him in this. Another possibility is Emily Van Camp back as Sharon Carter, the power broker.
Broker, yes.
Yes, because she was the power broker and now she's back in the CIA, but also she's running her own kind of black market shop for weapons.
What the fuck? Okay,
because she got rehired at the end of the fucking
so
Winter
complicated.
Soldier. So she's another possibility for this movie. Ritson, I guess, is also another possibility. Dermot Mulroney back. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that movie takes it. But yeah, Riri Williams is also another possibility. And I loved her in this movie, by the way.
Absolutely. She was great.
Panther. She was great. It didn't feel like they just copied Tony Stark. There were obviously elements of Tony Stark that they put in.
Absolutely.
Like, her journey is similar to Tony Stark. Like, when she goes up too high.
She went to MIT.
Right. She went to MIT, where Tony Stark went. She built her suit, and you can see her hammering away at the metal.
Mm-hmm.
She's also wearing a white tank top, like he did. She
has the really fancy car that belonged to her dad or something.
Right. Yeah.
So you got the really fancy car, and I think a lot of people are kind of upset about her, and they're trying to make her Tony. I think it's good that she's Tony. I like it.
Yeah, I like that she's similar to Tony enough that it feels like a good homage, but it's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
And she's still her own character, which I really appreciate. Because, I mean, MIT has, Tony Stark graduated from MIT.
Mm-hmm.
Ned Leeds and MJ Watson are attending MIT now.
Yeah.
Jim...
MIT must have a brand deal with Marvel. All your cool characters come here.
Right, yeah. There was that MIT administrator in Spider-Man, and Jim Rash from Civil War is supposed to return in the Ironheart show, which Dominique Thorne, who plays Riri Williams, will be starring in.
Ooh.
And the villain for that show is supposed to be Parker Robbins, who is the Hood.
The Hood.
He's a lesser-known Marvel criminal.
All right.
But she is supposed to be fighting him. And I think it will be interesting to see Riri Williams build her second suit, because her first suit absolutely looks like what a college kid would build.
Oh,
it's just rigging, and it's held together by straps, and it's not like this fully enclosed suit. She only gets the fully enclosed suit when she has access to Wakandan technology.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see the Mark III, which is the suit that she'll have in the show, because the Mark One is like it's so reminiscent of what Tony built, like
I
Tony's Mark
know.
One suit.
I
It's
was
like
I
the
was gonna talk
homemade
about
scrap
that.
metal, like
Yeah.
thrown together piece of equipment.
She's very clearly building from the idea of an Iron Man suit and
Right.
like the
Yeah.
stuff that he's been
Yeah.
doing. And I think she had like a mini arc reactor or something. Because there was a glowing thing in the sternum.
Right.
But yeah, I love the parallels to Tony. And I also like that, Tony was able to build the light turned on.
It's the light again, people.
Tony was able to build his suits when he was back with all of his, fancy tech.
Right.
And then
yeah.
she gets with even fancier tech, and she also gets to build a cool suit. And I love it. It's great. I can't wait to see the Mark III.
Right. Yeah. And like Shuri says a line. She goes, "What are you building? Is this Stark Tech?" Which means that the arc reactor that Tony built is such a unique design
Yeah.
that it's only comparable to him, which means that this technology does not exist anywhere else.
Yeah, Wakanda,
Which I think is a good
Wakanda
thing.
does not have
Right,
arc
Wakanda
reactor
doesn't even have the
technology.
arc reactor technology, which I think is pretty cool, and she can immediately identify it as Stark Tech.
There's
which
at
I
least
like.
3 people who have had arc reactors.
Right.
Ivan Vanko, Tony Stark, and Riri Williams.
And James Rhodes, War Machine, because Tony. Gave
Yeah,
him
but
the
he
suit. Yeah.
didn't build it.
Right, that's true. Yeah, and like Ivan's father Anton was the
Anton
one who
Vanko,
helped
yeah.
Howard Stark design the original arc reactor.
Absolutely.
So like it's all connected back to Tony, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see that. One other parallel I noticed between Tony and Riri was the scene where Riri shoots the drone and she loses oxygen and she starts falling,
Mm-hmm.
because Tony starts falling in the original Iron Man too.
Yeah, the icing
like,
problem.
The icing problem. And then at the last minute, they both pull up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just, oh, it's so good.
It's over, Tony. My suit's better than yours in every way. How'd you fix the icing problem? Darn. I love that so much.
It's such a good scene.
I adore the Iron Man trilogy. I it's one of the few like Marvel things that I've watched like over and over and over again, because I just love those movies so much. I love Iron Man, and I'm so sad he's dead. But I'm glad to see like his sort of legacy living on in Riri.
Yeah.
Because her suit fucking rocks, and War Machine also rocks, and I can't wait to see more of them.
Yeah, it's gonna be so interesting to see what they do.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts about Black Panther?
No, I'm thought it out.
Okay. There was one small thing that I noticed.
What's that?
One other small thing.
Okay.
So, they speak English throughout most of this movie, but they do
Yes.
speak other languages. So what I noticed was that whenever they were talking in Wakandan, it was yellow. Whenever they were talking in the language of Telokan, it was blue. Every other language they speak is white.
Huh.
Every other language they speak, the subtitles are white. So I think that's really interesting, because especially when the scene when Nakia goes to that village in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
she's talking in Spanish, but as soon as she switches to the language of Telecon, it changes to blue,
Gotcha.
which I thought was really interesting.
I completely missed that.
And just the last thing, I really appreciated Trevor Noah in this.
Mhm.
Trevor Noah is one of my favorite comedians. He voices Griot, who is the AI.
Oh,
He voices
that's
the
why
AI.
he sounded familiar.
He's voiced by Trevor Noah, which I really appreciated.
Love that.
He voiced him in the first movie too.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed that, because I really like Trevor Noah, and I also thought it was funny the comment that Ramonda made about the AI, because it just felt weird. Because she goes, "One day I think the AI is gonna kill us all," and I'm like, "You were alive for Ultron, right?
Yeah,
It almost happened.
You were there.
Yeah,
You read the news?
the AI almost did kill you all."
Yeah.
But yeah.
Why didn't the Wakandans intervene during Ultron?
That happened in Europe, and at the time they weren't like
Okay, but
a superpower, because they only became a superpower after T'Challa announced it in 2018.
yeah, but like there was a major threat to all of life on Earth.
Yeah, But I mean, to be fair,
And
what
it
if,
had to
like,
do with vibranium, so it would have made sense. I'm nitpicking again. I'll stop.
it's all right. Uh,
Uh,
but yeah, I think that's it.
yeah,
Black Panther.
I'm
All right.
I'm I'm tapped out.
Yeah. Uh, so we have we're now gonna move on to the watch list, which I
Watch
have
list.
the name of this segment. I have made the watch list,
All right.
which is basic, but it exists.
I have homework for my podcast.
Yeah. So why don't you start? What have you been watching? What are you gonna
What have
watch?
I been
Yeah.
watching? I've been watching The Expanse. I watched season 6 for the first time, and then I was sad because there wasn't a lot of it, and I immediately started rewatching it. I'm really sad that we're not getting a season 7. But it's really good. Check it out. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I mean, I could check like my Netflix and stuff, but my phone's in my jacket and whatever. I haven't been really watching that much stuff. I mostly watch YouTube, and play video games in my spare time. So
Yeah.
unless I'm like going to the movies, I'm
my
not
to-do
really
list.
watching movies.
Yeah. I have like a giant list here of things that I watched. Most of these I won't talk about. Most of these are quickly named. Like Legends had a couple of episodes. It's
Mhm.
like the clip show that comes out before every new Marvel project. It was like the clip show for Wakanda Forever. The assembled episode of She-Hulk that I thought was interesting to watch, see how they made it. Director by Night, which was the documentary about Werewolf by Night, which was pretty good. A couple of Star Wars things I watched. Andor. I finished Andor.
I've been hearing Andor's good. I'm gonna try and check it out.
I have no idea why this show is so good. It just is. And it's so powerful, and I really love it.
I promise to check it out. We can talk about it on the next episode.
Yeah, sure.
Hey yo,
Absolutely. But yeah, I just
look at us
Andor
planning
was
ahead.
so good. Yeah, I saw Tales of the Jedi and Grogu and Dust Bunnies, which is a Lucasfilm Studio Ghibli collaboration.
Ooh,
So it's like a 3-minute short, like a 3-minute animated short, which I thought was cool. I watched both of these with my girlfriend, but yeah, who I waited to watch these with because she's a huge Star Wars fan. But yeah, I finished a comedy show that I was watching called The Good Place, which is like a show about the afterlife.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, it's good. I like that
I've seen
one.
memes from it. The time knife.
Yeah, I finished Community 2, which apparently is getting a movie.
Hmm.
There's like a long running joke in that show about 6 seasons in a movie, so they're getting a movie apparently. It was announced officially, I think, that they were getting a movie. I started a new show called Kim's Convenience. It's like a comedy show about an Asian family in Canada who owns a convenience store.
Okay.
It's a sitcom and it's really funny, I think. And I have been continuing to watch The Goldbergs, 911, and The Cleaning Lady. All shows I watch on Hulu that come out weekly. The Cleaning Lady is still very interesting. Actually, that was the season finale, I actually think, of The Cleaning Lady. I really liked season 2.
Mhm.
It's, I think, just as good as season 1, and I can't wait for a season 3 if they make it.
All right.
911 has Angela Bassett, which is still going on. The Goldbergs is still running. It's a hilarious show. I rewatched a couple of Jackie Chan movies, Rush Hour and The Spy Next Door.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Jackie
dude,
Chan-
Spy Next Door is so good.
It really is. It's a kids movie, but it's a really good kids movie. And
Absolutely.
any Jackie Chan movie will have a special place in my heart
Hmm.
because I used to watch a lot of Jackie Chan movies with my brother when I was little, and I loved watching Jackie Chan movies with him. Like Jackie Chan was one of our like idols when we were growing up. So Rush Hour,
He's pretty great.
yeah, The Spy Next Door. We owned a DVD copy of Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour 3. He's in a whole bunch of other movies. He voices Monkey in Kung Fu Panda.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh.
He also voices the Sensei in the Lego Ninjago movie.
I think I knew about that.
Yeah. Yeah, he voices the Sensei.
Dude, Lego Ninjago is so great and so unhinged. I used to watch it when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Manifest. This show is so amazing, and I definitely
I
recommend watching it.
Disagree with you.
Really?
I have seen like the first 4 or 5 episodes of Manifest.
Yeah.
And I found it to be hard to get through, and so I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it really slow, and I didn't find any of the characters relatable. Um, I just couldn't get into it, and that's definitely a me problem. I admit.
Yeah. I really love this show. I've been watching it since it came out all those years ago, and I've watched it weekly as it came out. Although season 4 I watched all at once because it came out on Netflix, which doesn't do weekly releases.
Yeah.
But they're now on the final part of the last season. They have released season 4 part 1, and we're waiting on season 4 part 2. And I love this show so much. I think all of the characters are amazing, and what they do with the show and the amount of time that they're given is so encapsulating. And I know you don't like it, but I would recommend it to anyone who's interested in like a nice drama show with like a mystery element. It's I think one of the best mystery shows I've ever seen.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I will also recommend it. Try it, watch it, see what you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple more movies I watched. Jexy is a movie about Adam Levine. He has a phone that he talks to.
Adam Levine, like the main singer of Maroon 5?
No, wait, that's not his name. Adam something.
Adam Sandler?
No, he's the guy from Pitch Perfect.
I don't know Pitch Perfect.
Oh, I don't know. I forgot his name. Why am I forgetting his name?
Adam something.
Adam something. He has a phone, and the phone has an AI that's sort of like Siri.
Mm-hmm.
But he talks to it. The phone updates. He like signs the new user agreement, and then the AI becomes aware of what he's doing and gets jealous of his girlfriend and breaks them up.
Oh my god.
And he like the AI like gets him to drive into the middle of like a 4-lane traffic road. I don't know. This movie is weird. It was funny, but
really
like
funny.
Wanda Sykes is in this movie as like a salesperson at an iPhone store. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A salesperson in an iPhone store. She's really funny, but yeah, and then I saw Ticket to Paradise with my girlfriend that stars Julia Roberts and George Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
That one was surprisingly nice, which I recommend. Go see it if you want. It's in theaters. And then I saw The Italian Job finally, which was a movie that was on my watch list for a while.
Job.
It's got Mark Wahlberg, Jason Statham, and I can't remember her name. Charlize Theron.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And it's got Edward Norton too. It's a really good movie, and like there's a thing about heist movies that they're either really good or really bad.
Yes.
This one was a really good one, and I definitely recommend watching it. Blockbuster was a new show that came out on Netflix about Blockbuster, the video store. It was okay. I don't know if it's gonna get renewed.
I find it really ironic that a show about Blockbuster is on Netflix, which killed Blockbuster.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
It's really funny. I think it's funny, but I don't know if it'll get renewed. It probably won't, honestly. It was just mildly funny. Yeah, and then I watched my favorite Marvel short, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer, which I think is the best Marvel short. It's a one-shot on Disney+. Go check it out if you want. But that is the end of the things that I watched, and next month, we will be talking about holiday movies and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which I will watch again. Yes, it is 44 minutes long on Disney+. But yeah, that's what we will be talking about next month. Oh yeah, I know I said last week that this podcast would be up on YouTube. It is not. It is on Spotify. I plan to get it up on YouTube at some point. But
soon.
Follow this podcast on Spotify. It will probably be up on YouTube soon. I will let you know when that happens. But yeah, and thank you for listening to this podcast. Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, except you can't because we're not on YouTube yet.
We're not on YouTube yet is the key word. I will try my best to put it on YouTube.
It'll happen.
Yeah, but
That's about it.
That's it for now. So have a good month, and get into the holiday spirit for next month.
You need to work on your outros, man.
I do. I need to work on my outros. They're not fluid, but oh well. But yeah, so get into the holiday spirit. Watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special so you don't get spoiled next month.
Yep, watch it.
Yep.
Because we'll spoil you.
We will spoil you. We'll probably do it. We'll have a non-spoiler section and a spoiler section again. But yeah, so thank you for listening, and have a good month. Bye, guys. Oh yeah, one more thing. So if you want to reach us, you can find me on Instagram at the U Review. If you want to read any of my personal reviews, if you want to reach the podcast, you can reach the podcast on Instagram at Script Supervisors. You can reach us on Twitter at SupervisorsPod, or you can send us a letter on Gmail at scriptsupervisorspod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. If you guys have any suggestions or any thoughts on the podcast, you can just send them there. Like I